welcome back. I'm Adrienne, and thanks for tuning in to Tummy Time at Home. This is the show where I'm going to give you some helpful hints and tips as well as recipes on how to prepare meals for your picky eaters at home. Today's recipe, sweet potato waffles, a definite crowd pleaser. So let's see what you need. 1 sweet potato, a half a cup of canola oil, 1 cup each of whole wheat flour and white flour, 1 1/3 cup of milk, 1 1/2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, and a hand mixer. You also will want to have on hand 2 mixing bowls, or you can use 1 standing mixer and 1 bowl. So first, we're going to go ahead and get ready to roast our sweet potato. So to do that, an easy way, take a sheet of aluminum foil, take your sweet potato, and you're just going to wrap it tightly. Make sure and wrap the ends. Perfect. And you want to place this in the oven. You may want to place it on a baking sheet, completely up to you, but try to place it seam side up so that the juice from the potato doesn't drip out. So you want to place this into a preheated oven at 400 degrees and bake it for 45 minutes until it's nice and tender. I'm going to go place this in the oven. I'll be right back. All right. Now that our potato is baking in the oven at 400 degrees, we're going to mix together first our dry ingredients. So we'll take a mixing bowl, and you're going to take again your white flour, your wheat flour, whole wheat flour, baking powder, your salt, make sure it all comes out of there, and your cinnamon. Using a whisk, just make sure that it's nice and incorporated. Now, one thing to remember, it's great to bake or great to make things with whole wheat flour, but you always want to mix it with white flour so that it's not too heavy. The other thing with these waffles, I added more baking powder than you probably normally would, and again, that is because I don't want them to be too heavy because of that whole wheat flour. Once you get that nice and incorporated, then you can set this aside and start mixing your wet ingredients. So we've allowed our potato to bake for 45 minutes in a 400-degree oven. It's also been allowed to cool enough so that you can handle it without an oven mitt or gloves or anything. So we're just going to unwrap it. And we're going to slice it in half because we really only want to use half of the baked sweet potato. And you can save the other half for a snack later. Okay, so you want to take your half and just slice it down so that you can peel it open. You want to go ahead and grab your mixing bowl. And then you're just, let's do it on the cutting board. Just going to scrape out that potato flesh from the center. Just want to place it right in your bowl. And then we're going to add our remaining wet ingredients. Half a cup of oil, 1 3/4 cup of milk, and our vanilla. And then we're going to use our hand mixer to actually get all of these ingredients well incorporated. Using a hand mixer instead of a spoon or a fork is really going to help you break up some of those threads that you find in your sweet potato so that it's all really, really smooth to start to mix into your dry ingredients. Start it on a low speed so that it doesn't splash everywhere. It will be a little lumpy because those sweet potatoes are in there, so you just want to kind of mix it up as much as you can. If you're cooking cooking with older children, this is a great step for them to help with as well. They can get in here, it'll splash a little bit. It's fun for the whole family. Definitely a good time. Okay, so now we're just going to take out our mixer, and now we want to add our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients gradually. Okay, so just add maybe half in there at a time. And that's just a little precaution so that it doesn't get too lumpy. And then again on a low speed. Okay. You don't want to overmix, but you just want to mix it until everything is well incorporated. There are no major lumps in there, and it's easy to place into your waffle iron. All right, so we're heating up our waffle iron, of course, and that's going to take just a few minutes to actually heat up. So you can use that time to kind of clean up your workspace, or since I've already cleaned up my workspace, you can also try to fill the time with other things too. Nothing's cooking yet.
Smells good anyway.
Oh, that's good. Who needs you?
I'm an important guy.
You are an important guy.
Okay. So what's up?
1, 2, 3, shoot! You cheated! Whoa, 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 whoa!
Wake up, honey.
Is it ready? It's ready! Okay. So our waffle iron is ready. We're just gonna give it a nice little light spray, top and bottom, with some non-stick cooking spray. And then I'm just gonna use a 1/4 cup measure to place a 1/4 cup on each side. And that's just kind of a standard size. Now, an important thing to remember, I mentioned that we're actually going to freeze our waffles after we make it if we have any extras. It's important to make sure that you know to freeze the waffles after you cook them versus freezing the batter. Since you've mixed your wet and your dry ingredients and there was baking powder in those dry ingredients, it's activated to where it's actually rising right now. But if you were to freeze it or refrigerate it or wait for later use, it's not going to be active. So again, you want to make sure and cook your waffles first, then freeze the cooked versions instead of trying to freeze the batter. All right, our light popped on, which means our waffles are done. So excited about this. Ta-da! And as you can see, they're baby size, which is great for little fingers that want to take big bites. But if you wanted an adult size, you can always just add a little bit more batter to each side of the waffle iron before you close the lid. So let's go ahead and pop them out and place them on our plate. And I'm accompanying these waffles with a nice little serving of maple syrup, which is another unrefined sugar, which we talked about those before with honey. And this is another great thing to use. And we're just gonna put a little bit. And that's the thing with maple syrup, a little goes a long way. Right. Now I know that I said that this was LJ's plate, but I have to test it out. I have to make sure it's okay for him, right? That's my job as a parent. I'm gonna cut right into it, get a nice little square of it, make sure I have a good amount of maple syrup on there. Oh yeah, sweet potato waffles. They're crispy, but they're nice and tender on the inside. This was made with whole wheat flour, everybody, and this is not heavy or dense at all. We put enough baking powder in there so that they would rise, they would get a nice little crunch and nice little tenderness on the inside. And then you have a sweetness in there with the sweet potato and with the maple syrup, but it's not overpowering. It's using natural sweeteners. And this is something that your babies, your toddlers, your spouses, your friends, whoever you're making breakfast for, they're going to love these waffles. I've done it again. I don't know if these are going to make it to LJ's plate today. I'm just saying. Thanks for joining us again on Tummy Time at Home. I'm Adrienne, and we'll see you soon.